So, what am I doing? Okay, it's fine. Uh, uh, so, good evening, everyone. So, yeah, so I'm Shemo by name. So, I lead Creed, and this will be the last event for the year. And for anybody who is joining for the first time, Creed is the empowerment arm, and that's why you can see the two logos, one by the left, one by the right. Creed is like, if we are bringing mathematics, Creed is the sub under Fountain of Love, which is our main church, and Creed just look into three things, which is the reskilling, look at employability, and also looking at what we call entrepreneurship. So what we're doing tonight, which is the last event, is what I've read a book called Digital Economy stuff. Everybody know we're in the race of AI. People are trying to look at data, all of that. But I think I found that there's actually a missing gap, even at here in Aberdeen, which I still somehow struggling with even all around the world, is the digital transformation. I don't know more about it, but tonight we are going to have not only a guest speaker, was also former leader of Creed. I think she's the one that actually named uh, this group called Creed. So I will soon hand over to her. I just want to give brief something about her. Her name is please. I'm a church guy. I will call her Sister Tobi. I cannot call her by her first name. So Sister Tobi is an experienced technology and policy professional who is passionate about building a safe and inclusive digital future. And she's also a senior analyst at the United Nations Office of Secretary General's Envoy on Technology, I think based in New York. I think so. She advances digital cooperation initiatives focusing on digital public infrastructure, digital commons, and capacity building. She currently stewards the DPI, which is Digital Public Infrastructures, which safeguard working groups to develop a framework to address risks such as exclusion, discrimination, privacy, concern in DPI implementations. So previously, Statobi has worked in the energy sector as digital transformation analyst, while driving innovative solution for predictive maintenance, data analytics, and safety system. She owned a bachelor in computer science from the University of Lagos and a master's in computer information engineering from RG, where she got the top of her class, and also another master's in international affairs from Columbia University. So outside of work, Satobi is an aviation enthusiast, but I don't think I will enter playing with her because I'm afraid. I'm only joking. Uh, Committed to earning a private pilot license soon. Yeah, so without not wasting time, so I hand over to you, Satobi.
Thank you, Shil. Thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Tobi Kasali, like Shion has introduced. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, I thought that today maybe we could go through digital transformation. I know that um, it's a big topic, especially with the advent of AI. And people are really wanting to understand what does digital transformation mean, but most importantly, what does it mean for me? What does it mean for me if I'm a student that I'm about to make a decision about what I want to study? What does it mean for me if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business person? What does it mean for me if I'm at work, if I work for a company? How do I ensure that I understand what's going on and I'm a part of this future wave of digital and emerging technologies? Really, that is going to define um, our society, the way we live, work, and play for future generations. So I thought we could just go through sort of high level understanding of what digital transformation is, and then we can explore some examples of um, of digital transformation that has happened. And then through those explorations, we can maybe have discussions we on what we can do and how maybe we can think about digital transformation in our daily lives. So um can I share now? Let me try. Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay, thank you. All right. So I hope you can see my screen. So firstly, I just want to know, I mean, sure, I knew a little bit, but let's maybe you can go and then Lara can go. So I want us to be as interactive as possible because I think we're just really here to learn from each other. So who tell me your name, your industry, your area of expertise, and then what do you know? Tell me anything you know about big digital transformation. It does, and it can be I don't know anything, but anything you've heard, anything, just so that we can I can start to understand who is in the room and how we can sort of have this discussion, and how we can maybe target some of our discussions as well. So Sean, I'll go over to you first.
Okay, so I'm a geoscience person. So I read. I have my first degree, second degree, third degree in geology. So I now major in hydrogeology. So in terms of data transformation for me is taking paper to paperless, and I think
Mm,
that's what I know. Especially now that most of reports, fieldwork reports are also in paper. How do we digitalize them? And how do we not digitalize them is the most goal? How do we make them effective? Like I
mm,
think I also stopped talking. I needed some data for my PhD work. We could not find. We could. There's one old report. I think that old
mm,
report more than 30 or 40 years. That's the only report that Lagos have. So now, how do we make it in a electronic format that everybody can have access to it? And painfully, there are only 3 copies of that report in the whole of Lagos. 3 copies. So all of them. So I don't know much, but I really I'm here tonight to learn.
Okay, that's interesting, and that's really. I'm glad you mentioned this because we're going to come to that in a minute. Right. So that's that. I'm glad you mentioned this example. Um, Omalara.
Hello, Omolara, is she there? Maybe we can go to the next
Sorry.
person. Okay, okay, okay. Ma, over to you, ma. Hello.
Sorry, I was in the eating. My name is Omolara Afolabi. I'm in supply chain.
Okay.
And by digital transformation, for me, I would just say going paperless and making information available to her through technology
Okay.
and be able to have a long time information so where we can have access to it in the long term, like a form of reference.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So Malaria in supply chain, and of course, I'm sure you're in sort of geophysics, geology area. Okay, let's move on. I like these examples, and I'll tell you why I like your examples of what digital transformation is. So, what is digital transformation? So it's interesting because what both of you have mentioned initially in terms of changing value is what we call digitization. You have your hand up.
I will still have one person here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see.
Bimba, over to you, ma. Is she here? Because I'm seeing no
No,
take.
no. Yeah, it's that um those are like AI note takers.
Okay, okay. Let's go, ma.
Yeah, yeah. So what is digital transformation? So the digital transformation really is reimagining business operations, customer experiences, and creating value through technology. So it's the ability to create new value, right? You can disrupt markets, you can transform customer relationships, but the idea is that it's not just about adopting new tools. You are transforming your business, you are changing markets, right? You are creating new innovations. And it is slightly different from the two things both of you just mentioned. And I'm just going to walk us through examples where we can see the difference. And there's nothing wrong with this, but I think it's critical to understand the difference a little bit. So, what is digitalization? You just mentioned two situations where you digitization, that's about going from analog to digital, which both of you have mentioned going paperless, right? So you're scanning paper to PDF. but operations have not really changed. You do gain some efficiency. For example, when you don't have had to spend I don't know how many times looking for that paper, right? But you have not really fundamentally changed a way of doing business, right? You haven't generated value in a different way for somebody else. And this is digitization. It's often the first step. And it's the first step that we started as a society is we're going to change from analog to digital. This is what digitization is. Paper to PDF, any analog form, any analog process, you just whack into Excel. Something on paper you were collecting, you whack into Excel. Digitization. Digitalization is sort of the next steps, right? Again, you're just doing the same things, but you're doing it better. For example, we used to have paper maps, right? Which you would use to find where you were going. Digitalization is not just transforming that information into digital like the Google Maps, but it's then using Google Maps now is now a new tool for navigation. Now you are using a new digital tool for the same process, which is what you were using the map for. So taking that map into putting it on a computer, that was digitization. But then being able to use that map live and the data on that map for navigation, you are at a second level of digitalization. Your processes are now streamlined. Things are faster. Updating that map becomes super easy because you don't have to then change and reprint the map 10,000 times. You change it once, everybody on Google Maps has access to it. You've now got into navigation. Again, if we use the same example of the map, you change the map from paper to PDF, you digitized it. You took that information, you put it into cars. Everybody can use it. You can update it live. They're now using it for navigation, digitalization. But what is transformation? Transformation is somebody, in this case, Uber, being able to use the live location of cars to create a live sharing app. All that information that is now digitized on a Google map, somebody now sees it and says, actually, before, if I call a cab, you have to keep the cab, your address, the cab has to find it themselves. But now that cab driver can find his way to your house directly with Google Maps, and your own location is automatically shown on that map. And Uber is able to create a business just from that. That's transformation. Because they've taken what you have digitized, they've taken the new process digitalization, and now they're creating new value. Digital transformation. So it's about looking at your existing processes, but creating new value, right? So in digitization and digitalization, you are doing the same things better, and there's nothing wrong with this. These are process efficiency gains. But there's something extra, which is you are doing better things. You are creating new ways of delivering value based on the opportunities you now have with digital. And I really want us to think about new value creation, not just process improvement. Process improvement is good, especially if you work for an organization, right? There's steps. But today we're not talking about digitalization. We're not talking about digitalization. I'm not saying they're bad things. They are really good things, and companies make a lot of gain from that. Toyota, for example, became a manufacturing power because they managed to get process efficiency. So I'm not saying those are bad things. I'm just saying today I want us to focus on the new value creation, which is what digital transformation really is about. Types of digital transformation, right? I'm not going to spend too much time here. You have one business model, and this is what I'm saying. This one you are reading. So you have a business model. In this case, Netflix, and we're going to do a deep dive into Netflix. And you are creating, again, new value, a new way of doing business that brings value to your customers, that brings value to the organization. This is digital transformation, I would say level 1. Level 2 is domain transformation. We're not going to talk about this too much today because it's sort of the big next step. Amazon created an entirely new market. What do I mean? Amazon, if you remember, Amazon was a book selling company. They took books, digitized them, right? Into ebooks, into Kindle. So they went with the first process of digitalization. Then they went to digitalization, selling books on the market. But then Amazon did something else. They created, because they had these huge servers that were storing all their books and everything. Amazon went into cloud computing. Not only cloud computing, Amazon went into cloud computing that they could sell to people. And this was a game changer for millions of businesses, right? Amazon went into it, created a new industry of selling cloud server space. Amazon to anybody, not just organizations. Okay, so not selling servers, selling cloud space. People have been selling servers since Microsoft, Dell. They've been selling servers. They buy it. You as an organization, you go there, you pick up the server, you take it to your own organization, you set it up, you go on. That existed. But to sell cloud spaces to anybody, with Amazon hosting the server, this was the entirely new market, and that was domain transformation. Amazon changed the entire way server space and hardware is sold. But that's like next level. But I want us to focus on business because that domain transformation really happens after you've gone through the first stages, business model. But I want to, of course, focus on business model because I think those are the ones that individually, not organizationally, individually we can really, really benefit from in terms of value for our businesses, in terms of value for entrepreneurship, value for the organizations that we work for, which will show our own value as well. So I want to touch on the artificial intelligence as an accelerator for digital transformation, because if we think about digital transformation in itself, like you say, it's about creating new value through technology, any kind of technology, right? Artificial intelligence is one such technology that is making digital transformation faster than ever, right? And it's an accelerator. If you can understand its benefits, its uses, and you can use it in your business, in your organizations, there is new value to be created immensely. So, what is about artificial intelligence is no longer science fiction. I remember when we used to watch robots on TV. I used to watch Iron Man. I don't know if you guys watch any Marvel TV. And Iron Man has a suit. His suit has this artificial intelligence called Jarvis that helps him program and everything. And when we were watching this in 2008, it seemed very far away. Well, it has arrived. AI is technology that enables machines, computers, which is machines, to learn, to reason, and to make decisions. This is what AI is, right? If we boil it down, that's all. It enables your computer, not necessarily your computer, let's just say machines because it's code, it's programming, to learn, to reason, and to make decisions. Anywhere you learn about AI, that's all that is happening. It just depends on what kind of AI is happening. But all it is you can give machines, not human reasoning, machines can learn from data. They can start to understand the data and they can make decisions based on that, what they've learned. So that's it. Now, I'm just going to touch on a few phrases we hear again to demystify it. There's no sign, it's not, you see AI doing these great things and you're like, oh, what is that? Well, it's really simple, straightforward stuff. For machine learning, just like I said, what is machine learning? Essentially, you provide your machine, your computer, your code, whatever, a set of data, right? That set of data, the machine reads it and it starts to understand the patterns and is able to make a decision. I'm going to give you an example of the first, and I should have put it here, the very first machine learning code, not code or experience and we do it every day. Because remember, machine is mimicking human reasoning. So I want both of you to help me with this. So I'm going to say it, and I want you, both of you, to help me. Okay, I see somebody else is here. Some of you. I want some of you guys to help me with this. So if I say today that when the wind is 23 degrees, right? It's sunny. If the wind is at 23, 20, if the temperature is 23 degrees, right? And the wind is calm. Okay, temperature 23 degrees, wind is calm, the weather is sunny. That day we're going to have, it's not going to rain. So, temperature 23 degrees, wind calm, um, conditions sunny, no rain. That happens on Monday. On Tuesday, wind 26 degrees, temperature 26 degree, wind calm, weather sunny. Tuesday, no rain. Wednesday, temperature 15 degrees, wind high, weather cloudy, rain. Temperature 14 degrees, wind heavy, conditions cloudy. On that day, it rained. You give the computer this information, and then you say on Friday, if the wind is 25 degrees, and if the temperature is 25 degrees, if the wind is calm and the weather is sunny, is it going to rain or not? What are you guys, based on these 4 sets of data, can anybody tell me, what do you think? Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain?
It's not going to rain because
Is yes,
it's
go on.
there's been like a trend
Yes,
consistently, that temperature and all of that.
exactly. When you give a machine this information, the machine comes to the same conclusion that you see. It sees that temperatures above 20, when the temperatures are above 20, the prediction is nearly always it doesn't rain. When the weather is cloudy, when the weather is sunny, the prediction always ends no rain. When conditions are calm, the prediction is always sunny. And you've labeled this. You've said result, sunny, sunny, no sun, no rain, no rain, rain, rain. If you give the computer is going to do the same thing. It has realized that when the temperature is above 20, and the reasoning is this: temperature above 20 ends up no rain. Conditions sunny ends up no rain. Wind calm ends up no rain. That the computer is just going. If you ask the computer through machine learning to predict, it's going to then tell you no rain. This is how machine learning works, and this is why you hear people talking about machines learning from data. That is, of course, then you can do all kinds of things with it. You can do financial loans. This person, anybody that earns above $70,000, most likely will pay their loan. This person has a history of not even getting loans. That means this person does not have a lot of loans, a lot of debt that they owe. This person, when you get all that information, I don't know if anybody has ever applied for a credit card, and the first thing you get is, let's just see if you qualify. That's AI. Just looking at the data that it has collected from all the people who have had loans and saying people that earn this much, people that don't have debt, and people that maybe have only 2 credit cards tend to pay for their loan. And that's how you get the initial. That's what machine learning does. It looks at the data and it just looks for patterns, and it can categorize, and it can learn the same way we just did. It's sort of mimicking and replicating human learning. And then it says, makes a decision. That's machine learning. Okay, I don't want to go to, I just want to give us a really, just a preview of what it is. Computer vision, of course, this is just machine, again, interpreting human vision, being able to identify images. Machines can do that now. Natural language processing is understanding human language, right? So it's how you can do translation and you can do a lot of things now. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on that, and we'll talk a little bit about how things are. But AI is everywhere. You might not know. It's on your smartphone, of course. You can see it now with Gemini, everything. It's in your car. It's in your Netflix recommendations. I'm pretty sure I want to imagine. Maybe it's not me, but I think all of us here have Netflix. And I'm going to go a little bit into Netflix in a few minutes. All your Netflix recommendations, I hope you could watch. Those are AI. Those are AI supported. They're called recommendation engines, and it's a form of machine learning. How the machine learns the kind of things you like, and then it recommends that for you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So, generative AI. All of us have seen generative AI. Everybody knows ChatGPT now, right? That blew up, and everything became crazy. ChatGPT changed that. I've just spoken to you about the analyzing of data that AI does, right? Which is it gives you predictions. It says it analyzes all that data of the weather, and it tells you that this is what I can do. It says this is it's going to be sunny. It's not going to be sunny. AI was analyzing data. It was giving you a prediction. Generative AI is different now. It's no longer just analysis. It's now creation, right? You can now create. You can ask AI, write me. You can ask ChatGPT, write me an email to my boss asking for a raise. AI will do that for you. It is now able to create, right? These large language models, which is the basis of ChatGPT and all these guys, it's able to, based on learning about how the English language is, based on large amount of data, text, understanding, trying to understand the tone of languages, the context, it can generate the next word that should come. You already have this with predictive text on your phone, right? Very, very similar. It's just generating the next word and the next word. That is what generative AI can do. You can do that for text. You can do it for image. You can do it for music. You can do it for poem. You can do it for code. And this is a big change. This generative AI has changed from just analysis to creation. And I'll tell you, for us here today, what is most important to understand is that it has democratized AI. What does that mean? It means you now have access to using AI. Before, only coders. This thing I told you about prediction, I would have had to write machine learning. I would have had to label all that data. I would have had to do all those things. I would have done it in maybe Python or something like that to get to give me that prediction of weather. But now, you now have access to AI, at least the power of AI, to create, to design, to analyze. The question is, how can we use this in our businesses? How can we use it in our, like I said, organizations? How can we use it in our daily lives to become more efficient and to create new value? So AI is already making impact in different fields. I'm just going to give 4 examples and I'll pause and I'll take questions. In healthcare, AI is already being used to detect diseases with accuracy. Now, I already gave an example of this pattern recognition. I was in Ethiopia a few months back, and they have an artificial intelligence institute, and there, doctors had started using AI to identify skin diseases. So people in remote areas, I mean, if you're from Africa, some of us here are from, people in remote areas often have to travel so far to go to a clinic to first see what kind of skin disease they have before they will send them back for medicine and all those things. But what they started to do now was they took so many pictures of different kinds of skin diseases. And initially That's the data. You have to do this hard work of labeling it. This is eczema. This is I don't know, mosquito bite. This is something else. This is this. And then after a while, AI can recognize to a very high degree what kind of skin disease that you're talking about. That this looks like on the black skin. So people in the village, instead of going all the way, traveling, I don't know, 20 kilometers, they can take a picture, upload it to their um, doctor AI application, and immediately it can say up to 99% version, this is the kind of skin disease you have. You send, and that thing is part of their doctor clinic route. So the it sends it to the doctor has a look and already knows what the problem is. So that when you make that one trip, it's not that you have to go, you have to come back. The doctor can already tell you there and then. You don't even have to come. Go and buy this medicine and use it. You know what it is. Saving people money, travel, distance. This is already, especially for, this is just a little bit simple pattern recognition. AI can also analyze sounds. It's predicting, again here, it's also able to predict whooping cough. You have a cough, you record it, you upload it. The doctor, the AI, immediately, this is what it is. He escalates it to a doctor. A doctor says, yes, this is a whooping cough. Go there and go and solve it. These are some of the things that are being used in rural to help rural telemedicine already in Africa. If you're a doctor in, if you're a doctor, you don't have to know how to code AI. And I'll talk about partnerships in a minute on how we want to use it. You have the expertise. And what was happening in this place is there were doctors and there were AI specialists. The doctors providing the AI knowledge into the data, the specialists coding together, they come up with a solution. I'm talking about this so we understand the uses, but I'm going to say, and I was going to say it at the end, but maybe I'll say it now. This is not about everybody being able to write code in AI. No, everybody's not going to be a software engineer. But with the thing with AI is that it needs domain expertise. A software engineer does not know what skin disease look like. It does not know what whooping cough sounds like. Somebody needs to say, for this code, this is what it sounds like. Domain expertise is important. If you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're a driller, if you're in finance, if you're in agriculture, if you're in physics drilling, your domain expertise is important. What you need to do is to be able to have that ability to think about how you can create new value. And then if you are willing, you can learn the coding, but you can partner and you can use already existing AI applications to create new value and solve problems. If we don't take anything else from today, this is what I want us to think about. When you're thinking about digital transformation for yourself, for your business, I don't want you to think I have to be a coder. No. X. I want you to think I have to have domain expertise. What do I know? And then what problem am I trying to solve? And then how can I, through technology that is available, create new value for in this area of business? If you are super smart, if you're super young, if you're super sharp, if you have all the time in the world, uh, you can join coding with medicine. I just want you to understand that it's not necessary. And from the examples we're going to see today, it's not necessary that those who did all these great AI things were all coders. Many of them had domain expertise and they were able to tie that with digital technologies and create this transformation in their businesses. Finance, you have trading. People already use it for, to analyze trends and trading and to, they use it for fraud prevention. But again, it can help you. People are using it to pick stocks, to see how markets go. So again, it's already being used. But still, you have to have some basic understanding of finance to be able to use that. Domain expertise is really important. I don't want us to lose that. Oil and gas predictive maintenance. While I was in the oil and gas industry, we're trying to one of the things we did with machine learning was trying to analyze rock samples. Very simply, people get work samples and you have to see what is in it, therefore what kind of work is it, or what kind of is there potential you can have well. Again, just like the weather example, if this rock has this, if it has this percentage of limestone, if you have this percentage of quartz, if you have this percentage of this sort of sediments in this area, have we found oil there before? AI can make that process simpler and faster. A suggestion. 85% of the time, yes, human beings look at this. So it's about trying to again understand how AI can support you to do things better in a different way. So oil and gas, predictive maintenance as well, sensors is an example of when you have sensors everywhere. We had this as well in oil and gas, where when I was in oil and gas industry, where if you look at failures that have happened and you know millions oil and gas, I don't know if anybody here is in oil and gas or works offshore, whatever, millions of sensors, which means millions of data points, which and machine learning AI loves data points, right? Because it helps it helps if you have much more data, essentially your algorithm is better because it can predict better. So if you see, we had a failure one time offshore, and we're able to use AI to predict that that failure was going to happen the next time. Because after analyzing the temperature, all those sensors, temperature, pressure, this, temperature of fluid, this, that, the state of all kinds of, we're able to, when you saw the same trend of the same temperature spike, the same pressure change just before the failure happened, we were able to predict that something was about to fail, and you put a stop to it. And imagine offshore when you're drilling 200,000 barrels a day, a shutdown is millions of dollars. And in my organization that time, it was a huge deal that we're able to save like we saved like I don't know $15 million pounds or something. And if you can imagine if you can do that for your organization or for your business, that is a lot of value. And of course, retail and all that. So I want us to go quickly because I see where I'm talking too much. So before we go into our case study, which is Netflix, uh, I want to pause here for any questions. Any questions on anything I've said so far? Um, I'll pause for a minute.
Uh, yes, ma'am. Thank you. So far, I think some people joined very late, so
Okay.
I think maybe we maybe just pose a question. What does people understand by digital transformation? I think I like the way you brought that. I think I wrote it down. Digitalization, digitalization, and transformation. Maybe you can pose that question and pose as a question whether people. Yes, I think it's in first slide. I think yes.
Yes. So I think my question was just a quick introduction, and then just tell me what you think, where you work, and what you think digital transformation is. And then we can have a bit of a chat. Um, so I've gone. Sean has gone. So I don't know. Lara has gone. So I see Teniola and then Olusheye. So Teniola, do you want to go? Just tell me your name, what you do, and what you think digital transformation is. And it can be that I don't know what it is. That's fine. No, Tenny, are you here? Or Olusheye, do you want to go?
Okay, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for this opportunity, honestly. So for me, I presently work in the I'm a support worker. Yeah.
Mm,
but then coming from an internal audit background back in Nigeria, and so presently I'm into I'm a support worker for now, and into care. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
digital transformation. Um, I think for me, it's making your will be making your processes simpler in terms of
Mm-hmm.
probably in terms of automation in some sort of way, where you use the use of computers to help solve everyday issues, and just to make things more efficient, the work more efficient at in the workplace. So for me, I think that is what it is. And I just want to say thank you, because you just gave me something to go back and think about when you mention domain expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding your domain expertise, knowing your domain expertise, and bringing up a solution from your domain expertise. I think that hits well for me, and just getting me thinking. But thank you. So for me, that is what I understand in my small mind. Yes.
No, mine is small. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wonola and then Olubome. Okay, while we wait for Wonola, Olubome, are you here? Do you want to tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and what you think about digital transformation? No?
I
Okay.
think they're not talking. Maybe we could move. I think
Okay,
so.
we'll keep going.
Mm.
Please, as we go on, you can also put any questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer it as well if you don't want to speak. But yeah, so put it in the chat, and we'll also try to answer as we speak. Okay, so let's keep going. But to share to your point, I was trying to, I don't know if it was before you came. I was just trying to maybe give a difference between digitalization, and transformation, right? And what I mentioned was that digitization is mainly focused on efficiency gains, going from analog to digital. And that's the first step, and it's generally an important step that has been taking place. Digitalization, so if you think about having the maps that we used to use for navigation, you had to take your map and go everywhere to find where you were going. And then digitalization is the next step. You're streamlining processes, which you mentioned, using Google Maps for navigation, right? Um, in cars, you are able to then take your maps that were on paper that are put into cars, and then you're now able to use that for navigation. But then Uber took that into a completely new business model, where they know that now you have Uber, now you have Google Maps, now you have GPS. You can, you know where somebody is. Therefore, you can send a car to them. Cars don't have to wait. The normal taxi service that you had to uh the normal taxi service, so somebody had to, usually the taxi service is the taxi is in a particular place, you call them, they have to come to your house. Now you can make it more dynamic, right? You can share rides because it can pick up like four people at the same time. Once you get on the app and you call it right, it knows exactly where you are. So Uber is able to direct cars to people quite quickly, and because of that same location data, which is all it is, Uber was able to create a new value, a completely different kind of business, which is what we say is like domain transformation. So it's so that I was just highlighting the differences, but and I'm glad you picked on the sort of business expertise. It is critically important. Nobody to transform, you have to know the business or the area that you want to change. When you understand your area, then you can understand how AI can be used to create new value, right? it's really a key thing that I think and I'm just sort of glad that that you have that. Okay, so let's go into Netflix as a deep case study. So I'm not. I know. I want to imagine everybody has Netflix here, or at least has used Netflix in some form. Netflix, Amazon, they were all the same. But do we know that Netflix started as a DVD rental thing in 2027? I mean 2007. Netflix was, if you were in Nigeria or somewhere else, you used to go to the store and borrow cassette. I mean, I grew up in that time where you went to Mega Plaza or whatever. You went to a video store and you borrowed a cassette for 3 days. They were called movie stores. I can't remember. And then you went back. Netflix started actually as a DVD rental, in that they will mail you DVDs. I think if you were in the UK early on, you met Blockbuster, which was similar to Netflix in that you go in, you say you want to watch a movie, they mail it to you, and then you mail it, and then you can return it to the store, you can mail it back. That was what Netflix was doing in 2007. In fact, not in 2007, 2005. But what happened that made Netflix change their mind, that made Netflix started thinking differently? Again, Netflix was in the business of just mailing DVDs and sharing content. Their DVD business, note, was very profitable, 1.2 billion in revenue. So it was not like they weren't making money. But something had happened. In 2005, YouTube launched. And YouTube was showing that you can start to stream videos online. That was it. These people saw that a new form of digital, videos already existed, but streaming videos was new. Before we even get to AI, all that happened was a change in digital technologies. Streaming became possible. And the people at Netflix started to think, okay, people are now watching YouTube online. We are still sending people videos that takes 2 or 3 days to arrive, because by the time, all of you know we are mail. By the time they mail it to you, next day, 2 days, before it comes back, before you get the video, you come back. People were moving to watch YouTube online. Netflix needed a way to stay relevant and competitive. Right? So they realized the future wasn't physical media. With YouTube, they didn't know how, but they knew that with streaming, something was changing. This is what I mean by you have to understand the business you're in. It's not understanding, you don't have to. Netflix were not a streaming company. Just understand, they were a video DVD rental company. They were a DVD rental company. Rental. But they saw YouTube. It was YouTube that started streaming. And then they started thinking, what is possible if you can bring these two technologies together? If you can bring my business, which I understand, video rental, and you can bring that technology, which is YouTube streaming, if I can bring it together, what kind of new value can I create? What were the challenges? YouTube, for you to be able to stream, they required massive servers. Bandwidth. At that time in 2007, people still had dial-up. How was this going to work? Even though people were streaming YouTube, for them to be able to, you have Netflix now, that amount of data, incredibly difficult. It did not exist. How would they do the licensing for the studios that they have? Their business model, investors even hated it. They're like, what are you saying? In 2007, investors said no. Nobody is ever going to go and watch TV. Continue selling. You are making 1.2 billion. And when you go into the store, when you go, if you ever went to a video store, they will put the best videos on the top. The videos everybody says is top. YouTube, Netflix, how are we going to solve this recommendation problem of how are we going to recommend videos like when you have all these videos online? How do we even do it? But the transformation was they knew that they needed to shift to streaming. They needed to leverage. Was it possible to leverage cloud technology? And this is what I'm going to talk about partnerships. I already mentioned when I gave the example of domain transformation of Amazon. Amazon started as a bookseller, right? But when they discovered that they had all these servers that they needed to host all these books, they had extra cloud space. Amazon thought, why don't we just sell this extra cloud space to people? And look at Netflix now. Netflix is thinking, how are we going to host all these titles? How are we going to make this available to everybody? We don't even have the servers. We don't have this money. Netflix thought, why don't we go and buy this new service that Amazon is selling and use this cloud infrastructure? You have two digital transformation things that are happening here. Number one, streaming. Number one, cloud computing. This ability to access compute from somebody else started. Netflix, I want you to remember, is a video rental company. They did not develop the cloud computing. AWS did that. They did not develop the streaming. YouTube did that. What do you have? And what can you lean upon? What is the domain expertise you have? What is the business you have? What are the digital technologies that already exist that you can lean on to bring together transformation? This is how it always works. Not everybody is Amazon itself that created cloud computing. Not everybody is YouTube itself that created video streaming. Not everybody. But for us, that's what I'm saying. For us, I want us to think, where do I start? And that's why I'm focusing on domain plus digital. So that was the first thing. And then they themselves developed this adaptive streaming where, if you have low bandwidth, because people had low bandwidth, the video quality will reduce. So you can still watch the video. That was the technology they developed. But guess what? Price. Netflix offered 1 million to anyone who could improve their adaptive streaming algorithm by 10%. And I'll just show you a bit of some of the to improve their recommendation engine. This was actually the recommendation engine by 10%. And then they started putting content closer to people. Amazon had built servers everywhere. Netflix just said, let us put content closer to people so that it doesn't have to travel, it reduce speed. Again, Netflix is still just a rental video company. All the technology they're using, they're just using technology that already exists. Technology with people that already exist. There's technology out there that we can use as individuals, whether you're in geophysicists, in your audit or your care position, in your supply chain, especially logistics supply chain. There's so much. UPS tracking, AI. So much in supply chain. That's for that. AI is already supporting with that can be used to transform all these businesses. Let me just go on because I'm a bit conscious of our time. So let's look a little bit about what AI did for Netflix, right? Netflix, to my point of digitalization, Netflix didn't digitize DVDs. They changed entertainment. So what does remember I mentioned data for AI? AI is nothing. There's no machine learning happening, no natural language processing. Nothing is happening without data. Netflix collects 5 billion data points daily. Everything you click on, when you pause, what you watch, how long you watch it, the type of movie you watch, the type of movie you watch 4 times a week, everything it collects. And then what does it do? If you're thinking about the fact that it recommends to you, pattern recognition, just like that simple thing I spoke about, just expanded. How do if I have sun, if it's sunny, if the temperature is 20 and the wind is calm, This is what happened. That sort of pattern recognition, Netflix is doing, but in the form of a recommendation engine. It checks all the movies you have. It categorizes all the movies, right? You have action movie. If you watch an action movie, 80%, and you watch comedy, it knows that, okay, this person is an action movie fan because he watched action. By the time it does all of this data collection, how long you've watched action for, and then how many people have watched an action film, one action film this year. The next time you come, it's going to recommend you that action movie that everybody has watched because you watch action. That's AI that is doing that just by pattern recognition. And then it gives you all those nice other action films that you can see based on the kind of action you watch. And I kid you not, 80% of content, people don't search for movies anymore on Netflix. What do? So all that going to the store to find blockbusters to see, Netflix killed it. Because AI was able to recommend to you what everybody else was watching based on what you watched. And then it was able to capture you. Now you watch something, before you finish, it will say viewers, customers also like blah blah blah. It's giving you something else to watch. And then you click on it to keep watching. You always have to have Netflix. Whether it's Netflix, you shall have something that you're watching. And what did that do for? What did that do? That was AI. That was the recommendation engine that Netflix built. That you see everywhere now. When you go to Amazon, customers also liked. All of that was built by AI on pattern recommendation engines. And the simple method is what I described in the beginning, just in different ways. You give it all the data, you give it a prediction, and it just can make those decisions for you. That helps you. And what happened? Netflix was able to gain 1 billion annually. Last year, Netflix has 260 million subscribers, market value 250 billion. What's the impact? Blockbuster bankrupt. Blockbuster was the biggest DVD. Cable distributor, Hollywood is changing. Everybody now has streaming. When I came to the UK, Sky did not have streaming. You had to watch it on cable. Like you had to watch what was being said. You could not. There was no streaming. But Netflix did not start as a streaming platform. It started as a cable. They were a DVD rental company. That was it. But they looked at the technology that was outside. They saw YouTube and they thought, what can we do with this? What can we do with video streaming? Amazon actually has cloud. What can we do with this capacity of servers? This is how I want us to think. This is what I do. I'm just giving you an example. I work in, for me then, in an oil and gas company. I have all these sensors. I have all this data. I have all this data about what caused something to fail the last time. What can I do with AI to predict what happens next? And it doesn't have to be prediction, pattern recognition. What other new solutions can I solve? So I'm just going to go through two more examples real quickly, and then we'll go through an example together, which is more of an entrepreneurial example that I want us to see. So Airbnb, again, I'm picking things that seem like complete digital solutions that started out as something simple. How did Airbnb start? The founders, two of them, they couldn't afford rent, right? They couldn't afford, so they had a mattress. One person was sleeping in the sitting room, and then one day, there was a conference in their city, San Francisco, I think they were, and San Francisco, and people could, and they had to. I think one of their friends maybe had to book a room, and could not find a room. Do you know what they did? They realized that this mattress in my room that I sleep on, somebody else can sleep on it. And they then said, we're going to call it air mattress and breakfast. That's what they called it, air mattress and breakfast. Airbnb did not digitize hotels. All they did was think. They had a little problem. They saw a little solution that they had. If hotels are full and people have spare rooms, they didn't even have they had a spare mattress. People will pay cheaper to sleep in non-hotel rooms, in nice homes, The people will be it'll be cheaper for the guests, and the people will pay. It'll be cheaper for the hotel rooms for the guests, and the people that own the house will benefit. What technology exists to help me to do this? You already had the internet, yes, but what else? They created AI powered trust systems. That is this ability to for the guests to review and the other and the owners to review. So people can trust the house they are going to stay in because somebody has been there is and shows that this is a good place to be. Again, Airbnb didn't just start from I'm going to digitize, I'm going to change the hotel industry. No. They created that on that day, they created a website and just said, this is my room, this is what it is. Took a picture, made it available, and started. If you want to say you can. A simple problem that has turned into 100 billion, 100 billion. These people didn't know any code. They didn't even have domain expertise. They just understood the problem and were able to turn through digital means because it's only because of the ability to review AI for AI to help them review to create some of these profiles, to review the profiles, to check for photos, and enabling them to do this. Very quickly, let me go to something else. Venmo. Venmo is a US thing. In the UK, we don't really have it because in the UK you can transfer from one app to another. But before Google Pay, if you have Google Pay, Apple Pay, before all of those things started, it was Venmo. And what was the problem? Two friends went out and one person forgot their wallet. Somebody had to pay, and the guy and to pay the guy back, he had to either go to the ATM or write a check. This was America again in like 2007, and they thought this is too problematic. What am I going to do? What are we doing? We have text. Why can't we send? We have mobile phones. We now have nice mobile phones. 2008, 2009, 2010. What are we going to do? And what did they do? They started making payments social. So, oh, you made a payment, people will see it, you started sharing with your friends. And this thing turned into a huge social thing. In the UK, in the US, you can't transfer from bank to bank without getting you'll be charged, not like in the UK. So this Venmo at that time, and this is especially important for young people who like social things. You can turn something that they just started by making it social. Let's share let's put it let's put it on a mobile app. Let's create an app and just move it that you can just say we're splitting this amount up. That was the problem. So it turned into a cultural phenomenon. Now everybody most people in the US use Venmo to transfer money from one person to another. It is a also now $1 billion company. And all started because somebody needed to pay his friend and forgot his wallet. These guys, again, there was a they had a problem. They looked into existing solutions that digital solutions. How can we already have mobile phones? Let's create an app that connects to your bank account and can let you transfer money from one place to another. That was it. In Nigeria today, those apps, those money transfer apps, the ability to transfer money internationally, you have TransferWise, they're making billions. None of these things were created more than 20 years ago, 10 years. In some African countries, 5 years ago. It may seem like, and because we've had it maybe in the US for a while, but there are places that still have some of these technologies for free. And then um they introduced and because it was social and nice, young people jumped on it and became this phenomenon. So what you face a problem that is a recurring problem if you're young amongst you and your friends. think about what kind of digital solutions can I use to solve it based on what already exists. So I'm going to pause here again if we have any questions, anything in the chat, and then we'll go to our group exercise, which is more entrepreneurial.
Wow, well done, well done. I think I like that Netflix story. I think I enjoyed it. I was just writing some good things there. Yeah, well done, man. So please let's ask questions. Where the part of what we planned today was just to start with the. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. I think I enjoyed the part that enjoyed that Netflix part. So part of what we planned today was to first of all start with a little bit about the basics, show examples. So what we want to do next is the practical side of things, and I hope we all enjoy it. I don't know whether it's that to be have some assignments for us, maybe for also or maybe we just look back into our own sector and see what can be. Let me get the right language so that I will not be flogged now. Digitized. Let me. I think I'm learning what can be digitized, the digitalization part, and also that can be transformed. All of that.
Exactly. So what I want us to do, maybe in the next 10 minutes, is we'll go through one exercise together, and then we can all think about what we do in our different areas, what can be digitized, what can be digitalized, what can be transformed. You don't have to have one for each one. You can just make it. You can just pick one. But I just want to go through one example very quickly together, and then we can each um think or give us maybe 10 minutes to think about our own areas, and we can start to think about it as we go through this, because that's what's going to be next, and we can say what we think can be digitized or what we think can be transformed in any area of business, or it doesn't have anything you're doing that an idea has ever come to you or something. Just let's talk about it and just make it interactive. But let's quickly go through this group exercise together to just get you thinking a little bit, and then we can come to that. So this is a real company that existed, and the founder, she started in a garage, right? She's selling organic products, and she grew to 2 million revenue. And what happened was that she started getting over 500 plus customer emails daily. She only had a team of 3 people, and they couldn't keep up. They just couldn't keep up, right? And their ability to respond was reaching 48 hours. Meanwhile, her competitors, which are big companies like Sephora, those ones had a team of people and they could respond in minutes. Her satisfaction started to drop. If you've ever been a business person or a small business owner, you know how important this is to have high, good satisfaction. Otherwise, people don't continue to buy from you. So, what was the problem? To hire 3 more people will cost her 180,000 a year, right? And this would have wiped out whatever profit she was making. She was a one-person business with 3 people working with her. How she noticed that, however, that 60% of the questions were, "Where is my order? What is in this product? Is it vegan? How can this help me?" This and that. And she reached one point where over one weekend she had 1,200 emails in one weekend. In one weekend. She couldn't cope. The company was really in trouble. If she tried to hire 3 more people, she would have been bankrupt, right? So she's a business that's selling organic. She just sells stuff. She has this. She needs to respond to these emails, and she cannot hire an extra person. A lot of the questions are repetitive. Where is my order? How do I track my order? When is my order coming? Things like that. The question is, what are some of the solutions based on a little bit of what we've talked about, based on the existing technologies is out there? I want us to just together, let's just say something, or you can put in the chat. Let's just talk together. Can anybody tell me what you can, based on this digitalization, transformation, whichever level it is, what are some of the things you think can help this woman if she's not going to hire somebody to deal with this problem that we just saw? Shaya, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Toby. So I also want to, also, before I go on, I also need
Mm,
some form of clarification.
go
So
on.
the issue is it at other stage? Is it that people are trying to make order for the product, or this is after they have ordered the product and they're just trying to know where their products are?
So 60% of the questions are
Mm.
post order. Where's my
Okay,
order?
post order.
What
All
is
right.
this? Yes. Some of the
Okay.
questions happen also people, yeah. So most of the questions are post order. Some of them are about what is in this what is in this product? Can I see? Things like
Okay.
that. But most of it is post order.
Okay, okay. So I think so for post order issues, I think she can what I think they can do is to introduce a tracking system whereby for every product that is bought, there is a tracking system to show how products are being moved from one stage to another. Meaning, okay, your order has been picked up. From order picked up, order has been packaged. From order being packaged, order has been sent out
Mm-hmm.
through this delivery courier agent. And so with the tracking system, people are able to, since most of the issues are repetitive, so with that, that takes up the pressure of trying to respond to repetitive questions from the email. So I think that will to an extent help them in that state. And then I also think for repetitive questions where people need to know the content of, I think most of these things can also be put online when people are placing their orders and stuff like that. They are able to see at a glance, every the content in whatever they are buying, so they know, okay, this is a percentage of this and this. For every product they buy, they know this is what is it. So and then for also think they can they can also introduce chatbot at some point in time, if there's deeming necessary at some point, maybe just also take up that pressure, because yes, where they cannot do where the problem is not, I want to track my
Mm-hmm.
order right now, probably is just a recurring questions, a chatbot, you already have back end a list of repetitive questions. Repetitive questions will always have, repetitive answers, and then so they can have that back end, so that once people throw up a question this front end, a back end, this throws back to them, and they're able to, I think that also will help to an extent. And so for me, digitizing some of this thing will help them to a greater extent. I don't know
Thank
if.
you. That's a
Thank you.
very comprehensive answer. Thank you. I saw Lara and Tenny. I don't know if your hands are down because Shay has mentioned, but it's okay for you to mention what you had before. So I just know that if everybody um at least has a go.
Yeah, all right. I think yes, touched about. So so first of all, because the problem happened, um, she already had the issue
Mm,
before digitalizing our system. So it's like we can't go back to having to automate those things to track it because the orders are already out. So I believe that because it's already out, we can't go back into retrospect to start that. So one thing I would think she should do first is send an automated email to everyone that will calm them down, which will be generic. Everybody receives a generic email based on their circumstances, that sorry, we are working on this, blah, 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 or whatever the form is, into different category, and send that automated email to everyone while she's now trying to work with maybe a shipping agent to see where those problems are. Because if they are vegan products and they're organic products and they have different classifications, and I want to believe different mix of products, so because there are different mix of products, it has to now look at location to address people per location and track it. So it is basically like you have just said, it will be more of automation. It might take a little while, so that email, coming email, can give her time to quickly look into how to address that. And then for the future, all the products needs to be categorized, have automated system that is tracking them, and work in partnership with third party logistics, those ones where you can track your information and they can give you a real time online information as to what rules are and all that. So that would like be that's a boy fire brigade approach would be to first of all give them that coming email, try to go back into your system because you can't even hire. And so it's better to invest into digital hubs and partner with logistics partners, people that can help her rather than spending money in hiring. Hiring is actually, it takes a long time anyway. I think digitalization will be faster than hiring the right person. To train the person might take a longer time. So the algorithm. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lara. Okay, Tenny, I saw your hand, but it's gone. Okay, let's move on. I agree. I agree with the suggestions, and this is actually what happened, right? She decided to move into AI customer service and implement smart chatbot implementation. $300 a month, 2 weeks to learn a brand new to learn the brand voice and oversight humans review data. But what exactly did they do? Right? So the the first thing they did was the AI started they were getting human response to people that were coming. So, like you say, to Lara's point, there's some that have already gone out. But then there's the future solution tracking. Well, how do you deal with issues of people who are you've sent out these orders? People want to ask questions. Where is my stuff? Even if you've created a tracking, even if you have a tracking system, people still ask these questions, right? You give me a tracking number. Sometimes you just go to the website, you'll be like, where is it, right? Because I mean, sometimes if you don't even have any sort of relation with, I don't know, UPS or every that tell you every day where your parcel is. So is so for example, you get a question, is this safe for sensitive skin? This sort of questions, AI can answer that in seconds because to Shere's point, all of these questions people have been answering. So for each of your products, you've categorized them, you've put all the data about your product because you cannot put all the data about your product on the page. It will be too much. And people will not read. People want to see a picture, they want to see a few things, and they want to be able to click and buy. You cannot put all the information on your, if not Amazon, everything will be you only be able to see two things at the same time. But when you have an AI chatbot that can respond to all of these questions instantly, the AI searches the product database. It even records previous customer service. So if you can store customer service conversations so that if that is the one that actually happened with normal human beings. So that when you even see somebody has asked a question before, you can pull that question and use it to answer. Right? So this and the response sounds like a normal human being. People are happy. I don't know if you use them. I use them all the time when when I'm on flight response. I know when it's a bot, but at least it can help you. It can help you with tracking. So if you are like me, like most people, when I go onto a website and I want to track my thing, I just say, this is my tracking number. Where is the parcel? Where is this? Where is this? The AI just takes that itself, links with the UPS or wherever it is, and gives you that information. So people are able to share and get immediately the reaction that they are, even though you've implemented a tracking system behind, AI can still, the chatbot can still take that information and provide it to people instead of them having to go and click on it to go to Royal Mail. Then Royal Mail will tell you to enter your tracking number. Then it will tell you this. People can just go to one place and access all that information. And then if it's a question, for example, that it cannot answer, it can quickly escalate to a human being. So it has reduced the burden on those three people. And then that's it. And then AI can also be proactive. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you are going on a website and you browse for something, you just see AI pull and say, "Can I help you find a moisturizer?" Because you've clicked moisturizer 4 times in that place. So that now started helping drive sales. So not only was she able to use AI to deal with some of the problems that her and her team were having, it started helping them to drive sales because it's learning. As you are browsing, it's every click as you are there, it's storing in data. And it can see this person has clicked 4 different types of moisturizer. Can I help you? Here are the 5 bestseller moisturizer. And the AI chatbot is able to take it to a new level, not just static response, not just static tracking. It's like a human being in a shop. You know, when you go to some of those shops, somebody says, "Can I help you find what you're looking for?" If you are like me, you always say yes because I don't like to waste time there. They help you. And of course, the AI chatbot is learning. When it cannot answer a question and it passes you up to a human being, the human understands. The AI learns again because everything becomes a data point. When they asked about when somebody says they had a reaction, the human said, quickly go to a doctor and check for this. It's learned that. The next time it will be able to give that answer. So they are now able to deal with something like 80%. The AI assistant is able to do like 80% of their responses, of the emails they get. And this person does not need to hire. This is a true life story. 2 minutes response time. Revenue grew 60%, 3.2 million. Return on investment on that $400, 4,344. The main thing here, you don't need to be a tech company, but you can use existing tech to help you in your business. So this person just took AI chatbot that. How much is she paying a month? 300 a month versus 3 people a year. So as we think about our own problems and our own solutions, we have to think, what is the technology out there that can help me improve? And AI can do a lot, especially things that are already available. So AI chatbot solution, you guys already have it. So I'm going to pause, and I want us to then, in your industry, so we can have a bit of a chat, an extra chat. In your industry, before I go to that, does anybody want to say, I've had a little, again, conversationally, you don't even have to say this is a solution. You can say, this is what I've been thinking about. I've seen this and I think this can be done. Digital transformation, using digital technologies can help with this. I think we can let's, if you want, you can raise your hand. Since you suggested, I'm going to nominate you first, and then to give an example, and then we can round up on maybe skills, partnership, and anything else that we need to do.
Okay, since my name is mentioned, I think let's go back to Africa straight away. Most of our hospitals, right? We do have. If you go there now to ask what is the medical records, let's assume that I lost my date of birth, blah 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 blah, and I went back to Ibadan, all of that. We do have those record stuff, right? Most of those records are supposed to be in a paper, one blue file or one big fold file, and I'm pretty sure that they can't find those things. I would not be too surprised that it's either the hospital where I was born back in Nigeria has collapsed down, or maybe the person because I could imagine maybe the mama that owned the hospital maybe could have passed on to glory, we do have access to those data, but so what if you have access to those data in let's assume that we now find those data in all these pile of forms. How do we transform it such a way that we can take some and I think we can also have some insight. I'm not talking about insight today. How do we transform those data? I know that what you are going to look for is the value. What is the value from this? But I think there could be some value. I don't know, but how do we take those raw data, digitize them so that anytime, if some of us does not even need any hard copy, we just this is this here, we can screenshot or print or something.
You know, you know, data is always useful in different things, and I would just um say a little bit about the data itself and other things that can be done. So if we look at this example that you raised, of course, one way would be to manually really digitize all those things. You can just put them, data entry or scan those forms. You have machine readable that can read forms right now. Is the way people they used to mark jam scripts in those days. You pass it into a machine, it can read. So machines can read all those forms now and upload them. But and then you have access to that data, right? And that's just operational efficiency. It means that if you were born and they whatever history that you have, you can just transfer it. When NHS says, what's your history, you can just transfer it to NHS if you go there. And they can see if there's anything in your past that might be explaining anything that's happening in your present. That's a operational gain, right? That can happen. Now, is anybody going to digitize old medical records? Maybe we don't need to digitize old medical records. Maybe what we need to do is ensure that today, starting from today, nobody is born in a hospital that only has a paper birth certificate, right? Everybody has it digitized. Now, if I'm a government, let's think about it. If I'm a local government, what can I do with the date of birth of every child that's now? If I have all the birth information of everybody that's born in my local government, let's assume I'm a government person now. What can I do with that data? I'm talking about let's say government trying to create value. What can you do with it?
Yeah, we can use it to plan
Exactly.
a school, to plan a school.
Exactly.
We can
Exactly.
use it to plan the school fine. We can also use it for look at the gender perspective. We can sit down to able to plan a lot of stuff. We can also extract much more. I think part of the information from that data will be what are the jobs for the parents. There's a lot we can use to plan because it was
Exactly.
actually sorry for my gender before I run away. When a lot of people came to UK, they were saying, I didn't want to mention the way they normally call the name. So, and this country, UK, was complaining that everything is overstretched. NHS is overstretched. School is overstretched. And everybody was thinking against this country somehow. But somehow I look back and say, wow, they are looking at data. Because if they have a school already that have only maybe in a class for 25 and they only have 3 classes, and the influx of people are now more than that, that means that it's stretching. They are actually looking at simple data that we don't even look
Mm-hmm.
at to
Mm-hmm.
plan, even
Mm-hmm.
for rent, even for resident, what do you call this, where people can stay. Is it rent now
Mm-hmm.
or house? They were using that. So
Mm-hmm.
if they have access to those data,
Mm-hmm.
over to you, man.
100%. And this is what I just wanted us to think about. When we look at all these societies, this is how progress happens, right? That data, the first thing, if you are a government, and I'm speaking from a government perspective now, the first thing is if everybody is born in that place, you should be expecting a certain amount of people by age 5. You should know the amount of people by age 5 that are going to be in primary 1. You should know the amount of people that are going to be sitting SSC. You should know the amount of classes you need. You should know the amount of computers you need. You should know the amount of people you are going to need to feed. This is what that kind of data gives you and enables you to plan effectively. I mean, this is private data, so this data will not be available to everybody. That's why I'm talking about the government. but then it helps government plan. How many hospitals should exist? This is a working government. And if a child is not in school at 5 o'clock, that's why in the UK somebody will come and knock at your door. Because that child is at the age when they should be in school. So you can use it, and planning is what creates this effective society that we live in the UK. That's what the importance of data at one level. At one level. And if we're talking about, again, this does not even need AI. This is just data that helps you plan, and it's just by digitizing, you are able to solve a particular type of government problem, and this is at the government level. If we talk about health, like I've mentioned already, we talk about health now. Like I say, in Ethiopia, they are able to do telehealth. You don't have to travel many kilometers. You can use your phone, record your cough into the doctor app. AI will tell you what kind of cough you have with some recommendations on what you should do. You don't have to travel all the way to the city. And all that data is gathered by everybody. If you have open cough, you go to the hospital, they now record you. They take pictures of people that are of any skin diseases, they're storing it in the database. And that is helping people to change. If you have domain expertise, it doesn't have to be skin, it doesn't have to be cough. In some area, you can train the data to support you, and you can create a support system for AI for that particular health challenge. So that is one way that, and not just in Nigeria, like you say in Nigeria, this is in all of Africa. Opportunities to use AI to solve a lot of these social problems. Okay, anybody else? What can you use AI for? What can we use AI for? Not just AI, digital transformation, digitalization, anything else in our industries. I'll tell you something else I've seen. And it's AI as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be AI, just because I saw so many examples and I'm remembering them. You know, in our in our countries, most of us from Africa as well, we have diseases for identifying plant diseases, agriculture, AI in agriculture. Very similar to the skin disease issue. You are able to take pictures. Farmers now take pictures of all whatever, take pictures of their plants. And maybe you are in a far away, again, you are in a farming place, take pictures of your plant. You can upload it to an AI database that can tell you the disease that your plant is having or about to have, and the immediate solution to this. Governments develop that, private people develop that. And this is huge information to farmers that will help them increase yield, right? So, because AI is able to learn from these solutions really quickly. This is not a chatbot, but this is able to learn really quickly. So, if you are in care, for example, I mean, in the US, in the UK, it's not really a big deal. Everybody speaks the language. But imagine in care, you are able to create. You have an app or a phone app that automatically gives information to maybe people that are caring for their other people, and people can speak Yoruba into this app and interact with some of these telemedicines in and the app understands the language. So you know you have what you have in this thing is that in some of these villages, remote villages, is that they just have like a screen. You can go there and say, my back is aching me, like elderly people, and it's not in English. It translates any language. Immediately he hears it, he can translate it into it can understand the language, pull up the data and respond audibly also in the language that you have, right? So these are examples of translation services depending on depending on the areas that you have, and this will be very useful again in some of the places that we have and in some villages that we have. Any other thoughts? I don't want to be the only one that keeps talking, so any other thoughts?
So I think let's talk and ask questions. There something I wanted to ask was there what could be the plan for digital transformation plan, because I think maybe like a roadmap. What steps? Step one, is it 5 steps? What should be the I don't know what I'm jumping now. Expected deliverables, but I think it depends on the project, right? That depends
Yeah,
on the
so there's no, yeah, so it's really important that we don't think about it as there are these 5 things for digital transformation. It's a mentality, it's a cultural change, it's a way of thinking about problem solving. What it is about whatever problem I have in my organization that I can see around me. What are if I recognize it, if it's something I want to solve, if it's something I'm excited about, or something I think is valuable, will create value, what are the technologies that can help me solve it? That's it. And then you follow whatever steps you needed. But there's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because all the problems are different. Netflix is different from Airbnb. It's different from Uber. It's different from Venmo. It's different from a direct app. It's different from AI technology. The question you have to ask yourself is, in my domain, in what I know, what is the problem I see now based on what I know, or based on the problem I have, and what are the existing technologies that are out there that can help me solve them? And there are many ways that they can be solved. This is the key takeaway I want us to go. As we continue to think, let me just do my last slide and then we can pause. And this is what I'm talking about. You can decide to learn AI tools yourself. This is key. If you have an interest in programming, if you have an interest, if you're a software engineer, or you're passionate about coding and development, you can think about developing solutions yourself. I did a, I had a, I had a, I mean, my background is computing. We had like it, and like I said, I work at the UN, and we had created a digital policy, and countries had to respond. Countries, stakeholders. So we got like 1,500 responses from countries, organizations, and everything. I wanted to analyze that, and I was not going to read 1,500 documents. It wasn't possible. But ChatGPT can summarize documents, right? So what did I do? I took all the documents, I downloaded them into a folder. ChatGPT has this problem where it can hallucinate and be telling you things that are not true. Of course, because it's only just it's based on training data. So what I did was I did 2 things. I mean, my background is in computing, so I can write a bit of code. So I wrote a code to receive the directory folder that I pointed to. I said, go to this folder. I have a key, an API key, which is like I can access. An API key enables you to access ChatGPT, not the surface, but the engine itself, and use it for your own personal thing. You pay a small amount. So I just wrote a code for myself. I created a little front end to take all that data, all the documents. I asked it to summarize it. I asked ChatGPT to summarize it. And then I asked ChatGPT, when you summarize it, I want you to summarize the major topics, 10 topics. I want you to also give me the source. So that I know that you are not making any. I want you to, once you summarize it, I want you to tell me all the names of the documents that produce this summary. So which 5 countries mentioned this? Italy, Nigeria. I want you to list who mentioned this topic. Give me the top 10 topics you saw in all of these 1,500 documents. Tell me the people that said it, which country, which organization, right? And I did that. I didn't create what I did. That engine that generates ChatGPT for you, I used that engine from OpenAI. I linked it to mine, and it's something you can do. And I was able to just create a small app. It wasn't looking at the internet. It was just looking at all those documents that I had. And I said, summarize it for, and it gave me a nice 4-page summary. Everything because I cannot read 1,500 documents. I mean, I could, it would just take me too much time. I had a problem, but because I can code, I was able to use OpenAI and some Python to just create that very simply. That's possibility for it's not a possibility for everybody, but it doesn't have to be that. You can have partnerships. In the in the Ethiopian situation I was talking about, it was doctors and software engineers working together. The doctors were the ones that were saying, this is what open cough sounds like. The machine learning guys were the one coding the that the that the software will be able to labeling it, so the software will be able to recognize that that's whooping cough, that's a skin disease. This is what you look for. This is how it sounds like. It has to have this, it has to have this, it has to have that. And together they were able to create that application. Partnership is really, really important. You don't have to have all the skills. Partnership not just with people, but partnerships in terms of the digital solutions that you're thinking about. Even with what I wrote, I did not create a language model by myself. Even in my own example, I paid OpenAI maybe £2 to directly use the engine to generate the summary for myself. So I don't want us to think, oh, digital transformation, it means I have to write code. No. You just have to understand your problem and seek to understand the kinds of solutions that exist that can help you solve your problem. Start with the solution, start with the problem around you that you understand, and then you can create value through it. So I think that's the end. I've come to the end of sort of my presentation today. And yes, I just want to say thank you. I think we've had Sheye, Lara, Tenny for your contributions. It's been really a show. It's been it's really good. I really enjoyed it. Thank